Are you a working mom with a side hustle idea and you're wondering how to start and grow it with all your plenty commitments, full-time employee, mommy, wife, church worker, different things? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 powerful tips on how to make time from your already crazy schedule so that you can start and launch that idea that you have in mind. All right? If you're new here, my name is IPHIE and I'm super excited to have you here. If this is not your first time around this channel, it's always a pleasure to have you again. My mission with this channel is to help Christian career women like you who are desiring more income, fulfillment, and freedom in their lives achieve just this, while growing in their careers and actually being a strong, influential pillar in their homes and nations. If this sounds like you and you haven't subscribed, please do not leave here without clicking the subscribe button. And don't also forget to click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I post new videos about becoming this uncommon woman. When I launched my first successful side hustle business in 2012, I was a young mom, 3 children, full-time employee. It was crazy. The tips I share in this video are the things that I did to help make out time for me to focus on my business, deliver on client expectations, grow the business in itself, at the same time growing in my 9 to 5, such that, guess what, at the end of that year, not only did my business do 5 figures in revenue, but I also got promoted at work. So ready? Let's dive in. Tip number 1 is actually maximize your work days. So you have a full-time job, Monday to Friday you're working. What do you do when you're at work? Are you most productive when you're at work? How do you maximize your work hours to actually get a lot done in that time that you're supposed to be working? So do you have a daily to-do list? Do you enumerate or list out the core things that you need to get done every day and are actually focused on it? Do you start with your easiest task or with your hardest task? Personally, for me, in maximizing my Monday to Friday, I have a to-do list. I make sure that I start working on my most critical tasks first, because earlier in the day is when I am most productive. So it depends on you. Wherever you are most productive during your 9 to 5 hours, make sure you are dealing with your most critical tasks at that time. You also need to learn to say no. So within maximizing your Monday to Fridays, learn to say no to tasks or favors that are going to derail you or distract you from the core things that you have set out to do in that period. Also, in maximizing your Monday to Fridays, ask yourself questions around, what can I do with traffic? In a lot of cities where a lot of the women that listen to me are, there is some traffic. So in going to work, in your commute time, going to work and coming back, what can you do with that traffic, that time that is essentially lost to traffic? If, for example, you want to launch or you want to, part of your side hustle business based on what you know is to launch a new course or to write a new program, in that period when you're in traffic, can you start articulating the outline, for example, and just typing it into your phone? That is actually getting things done. Also, on maximizing your work days, all those things that we do that you go for lunch and it's a 1-hour break, but you go there and then you talk for 2 hours, that's time lost. How can you take back all those times that you lose to petty things and actually refocus them on the core things that matter in your job? The whole objective is that you do not take work home, because we are actually saving the evening for your side hustle. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 in making time for just your side hustle idea that you have is to take back your Saturday. If you go back to the Bible, we're all Christian women. God actually worked for 6 days and then he rested on the 7th day. When he was talking to the Israelites and giving them instructions, he told them to work for 6 days and actually rest on the 7th day. So that is essentially the template. And that's the question I always ask. So at what point did we start working for 5 days and resting for 2 days, and we're expecting to deliver the kind of amazing things that our God who created us, expects of us to do? So point number 2 is you need to take back your Saturday. Saturday is the 6th day in your week that you can actually maximize. It may not be a day that you work for your employer, which is amazing, but make that day a day that you work on your business. In my own time, when I started, I would dedicate at least 5 hours on Saturday to actually work on my business. So take back your Saturday. That is tip number 2. Following up from this, I'm sure somebody is going to ask, but IPHIE, you know, on Saturday, I have to cook, I go to the market, you know, I do grocery shopping, I take the children for their different games. I have a lot of activities on Saturday. I really cannot bring out 5 hours to actually work on my business or make it a work day. And then that takes us to tip number 3. It's 3 things. I call it delegate, outsource, automate. You need to look through what do you do on Saturday and honestly ask yourself, must you do it yourself? Must it be you doing it? Like if you don't do it, it's something like the world is going to, you know, disappear. But if you don't absolutely need to be the person to do it, can you delegate it to somebody else? Can you outsource it? And ask yourself these questions. I remember before I started doing this, my Saturdays were my cooking days. So I would go to the market, I would do grocery shopping, I would come back, I will cook the whole day and my freezer will be full. And I had to ask myself these questions like, must I be the one doing this? Yes, on the cooking part, I needed to be the one doing it because my husband likes my food. But did I absolutely need to be the one going to the market? No, so I had to delegate that out. That freed me hours in the morning that I could actually work on my business. And by the time the groceries came, I would now move into cooking and I do it faster. I also got someone to also help me. So instead of preparing everything I needed for cooking, and if you're an African like myself, you know that when we prepare for cooking, it's actually a long preparation process. So I got someone to help me and then it actually reduced the time that I was actually spending. So now no market, no preparation, just the cooking. So think about everything you do on Saturday. Can you delegate it? Can you outsource it? Now think about everything you do all through, maybe during the week, and that's where automation comes. Are there things that you can put in place so you're not constantly thinking about how to run those errands or how to run your home? And it could be things like meal plans, you know, so that you're not constantly thinking, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? So that's tip number 3. Coming out of tip number 2. Is this all making sense? You know, if you like it, if you like what you're hearing, if it's resonating with you, please do not forget to click the like button. If you have any questions at all, anything that is not clear, please drop it in the comment section and I will definitely get to you and I would respond to you. Tip number 4, you need to find when you function best. I know I alluded to this in the first tip, but this is like a core tip on its own. You need to know as an individual, not when you're in the office, when do you work best? When are you most productive? When are you most creative? When is your best self alive? And around that time, make sure that sleep doesn't take it because most likely sleep may be taking it. A lot of people are either early birds or they are late night owls like myself. And so if you're a late night owl, you may need to actually sleep later than your usual bedtime so that you can actually work on your business in those 2-3 hours that you are most productive and you otherwise would have been sleeping. If you're an early bird, how do you cut your sleep so that you wake up earlier? Let me show you how mine was. So for example, I work best at night. So in my own case, I would get home and I would actually work till about 12. And then I would sleep and I could wake up much later and then I go to work. Okay, so it just depends on how it works for you. For people that are early birds, you might decide that you want to sleep early in the evening so that you wake up much earlier in the morning, do some work before you get ready to go to your 9-to-5 job. Okay, so that is tip number 4. And now to tip number 5. It's all about now blocking the time for your business. All the tips that I had shared earlier are all about making time for your business. Now, you've made that time. If you don't actually utilize that time by scheduling it, it would all be wasted. The time will be available, but you will end up doing something else with it. You know how, isn't that how life is? Like you make out time for something, and at the end of the day, you find yourself in front of the TV or just on your phone and you're pressing it. So that time would have gone. So tip number 5 is actually scheduling the time, blocking the time. So if on weekdays you've decided that you are going to work from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. because you're going to wake up earlier, or you're going to work from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight because you're going to sleep later, actually block that time and have work that you're going to do in that time. So be clear on this day, I am going to work on my business plan for this. This is the outcome of this session. Block the time in the calendar. Block the time that you have earmarked on Saturday in the calendar. Block the time that is your commute time on your calendar and say, oh, I need to clear out my outline, and you put that time because it's your commute time, it will come up on your phone and it will remind you. So in summary, tip number 5 is all about this time that you have made for your business. You need to schedule it into your calendar, block it, have reminders so that you're focused and you actually use this time for what it's supposed to be. Okay? So what is the one action that you are going to take today based on everything that you have learned with regards to making out time for your business? Write it in the comment section. Please don't forget. And if you still have more questions about starting a side hustle or a side business, I have this amazing guide that I put together that has the top questions that I receive from most career women with regards to launching a side business with their full-time jobs. And maybe most of them are moms. So how do you handle everything? If this sounds interesting to you, you can get your own free copy. It's in the description below. Like I said, it contains all the top questions that people ask, and so you should clear any doubts that you have. I really want you to actually launch something new because there's so much more in you. You're made for more, and it's about time the world really experiences that. But before you go, I should tell you about my next video. Some women that have reached out to me say, you know what, the problem is not me. The problem is my spouse. He's not as supportive of my dreams as I would have loved. So if this is you or you know someone that is in this situation, you should watch my next video where I share my 3 secrets to getting any unsupportive spouse to support your dreams. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and see you in the next video.